right. Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of Marketing on Tap. This is my mate, Danny Brown. I'm Sam Fiorello.
Looking very dapper.
I'm looking very dapper.
Looking
Well, thank you.
dapper.
That's
nice change.
It's a rare. Okay, there you go. It's backhanded compliment. Okay, well, I'll take it. However, I can get it from you. Today, we've got a couple of challenges. We're putting this together really quickly because there's some crazy construction going on outside our old historic building here. And so we're trying to beat the construction noise while the guys are having their lunch. This is our lunch. I like the looks of this one already. So today we were going to talk about an article that I just read, a study that came out from PwC, which talked about customer experience and the changes in customer experience. The results of this survey that PwC did show that 1/3 of all customers would walk away from a brand, even a brand that they really love, after only one bad experience, which was fascinating to me. That one bad experience today would say, screw it, I'm going to walk away, even a brand that I really love. So I want to talk a little bit about that because it really does seem that the whole landscape of customer experience is changing. It's no longer about building that long-term relationship, building all those touch points, lifetime value. And it's more, what have you done for me lately?
Oh, right now.
Or not
Right
even
now.
lately. What have you done for me today in this moment? So I want to explore that and how brands can maybe look to either adopt technology, or is it really something they should be shunning away from, given the results of this study? So that's today's topic. But in the meantime, Danny, I did it again.
Yeah, you did the fingers again.
I did the fingers
my
again.
grief.
Okay.
We're in trouble. Yeah, so this is, we're going back to our friends at Sawdust City.
Oh, nice.
This is like their Golden Beach Pale Ale. So it's a session IPA, because I know you're not a huge fan of IPAs. This is a session one, so it's lower in the hops than a normal IPA, and you're sitting at 4.5%. With only 25 IBU.
That's okay.
So it's nice bits. So, you can see it's like a really nice pale texture there.
Yeah.
So,
Now, we've done the sawdust a couple of times, but I've not tried this one here before.
No.
So cheers.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
I like this one. Just look at that. It's like mud. It's clear mud, or not clear mud, yellow mud.
Yeah, very fruity. Really pineapple coming through there. Right, the zest comes through. I can't really taste the you can taste the hops, but it's not like an IPA.
No, not at all. I would never have known this is an IPA.
Yeah, so there you go. Your IPA.
I am now an
over.
IPA fan. Thank you,
There you
Sawdust. No, I like that.
Oh, we have like the sirens already.
Okay, so we have Simon. We're in Toronto. I mean, like this is
Yeah.
like New York. I was just in New York this weekend. You can't get away from the sirens, even at 3 a.m. So that's just what makes our podcast special. We have people being arrested and fires going on all the way around us. So let's get back to this study.
Yeah.
Another result from this study from PwC is that 2/3 of those consumers that were surveyed or studied by PwC report that brands have lost the human touch, what they refer to as the human touch in their engagements. And 3/4 of them say that they want more human touch,
Right. Yeah.
not less. So, I find this really fascinating because we're all going online. We're not going to stores anymore. Retailers are dying all over the place. And yet we're saying, apparently, that we want more human touch. How do we reconcile this?
And you know what? I've written about this a couple of years back, I think, where we ask brands to be human, but then we bitch on them when they're too human, and they come back and they speak to us like a human being. So I don't think brands can win a lot of the times, And I think as consumers, putting a consumer head on for a minute, we do expect too much. Like one touch point is the only chance you're going to give your favorite brand if they mess up. And, you wouldn't, if your wife or your husband or whatever upset you wouldn't divorce them for, burning toast. And that's to me, that's, maybe you would, I don't know. But that's to me where we're sort of getting, especially with the ease of contact on social and all the different channels we can communicate with.
Yeah.
I think we're being too, our expectations are way too advanced to even give brands half a chance at times.
Yeah, but I agree with that, but we just can't give up, right? We as a brand, and the clients we advise, or if you're just listening and you're a brand or our own brand, that's Sensei. I know that we do have this situation where one bad experience or one mistake that one of our team members makes often sours a relationship that we've been excelling at for 2 years.
Yeah,
and I'm baffled at that. So you just can't walk away from it, even though yes, sometimes we can't win. Experience is everything, as they say. But the full experience right now, because of the chatbots that we have right now on screen and moving online, you have to look at that. Another stat, I'm just looking at the stats here, the same thing. 65% of consumers report that positive brand experiences influence them more to repurchase a product than great advertising.
Right.
So more marketing isn't the answer.
Yeah, just more looking after me.
So more looking after me, but then we're going online. So, Amazon and their ilk have trained us to go online. I know I'm one of those.
Yeah.
I just hate shopping malls. In my old age, I've really stopped liking people in
Yeah.
general, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So I buy almost everything on Amazon. I know my wife does that. My daughter at 16 is, she doesn't even watch television anymore. Everything is Netflix and YouTube, and all of her purchases are online 100%. There's I know the Amazon delivery or the Pure Later delivery guy on a first name basis because he's there every day. So we are moving online. We're not giving brands the opportunity to give us that one-to-one.
Right.
Yet we're all, but we say one thing, we do another, I guess is the point. So how much faith should we as brands put into this type of analysis and these types of surveys? Are we just complaining for the sake of it, or do we mean it?
Yeah, no, I think, it's from PwC, so it's not like Joe Backwater, survey company. So there's definitely authority there, and I think it shows that, we know consumer behavior changes year in, year out.
Yeah.
And most consumers are going online. So you need, as you mentioned, you need to have that experience. And if it's something as simple as a little AI chat box pops up and gives you answers. We work with a client based on predictive text answers, right?
Yeah.
So if we look at AI bots, that's the same thing. We're trying to enhance experience and take them down a journey based on where they need to be from the initial query. I know in that survey somewhere further down the line, it mentions AI bots. Even if you just got a simple AI bot on your website, a customer doesn't care if it's human or AI. They just want an answer to that question there and then. So that's the start of the experience, the customer journey from that little connection point. Then you start to build up using a CRM, you start to build up data, cookie behavior, etc. And you start to identify, what these customers are like. Do they need different landing pages for repeat visits, etc., and force them over there?
So what you're saying then is that the human-to-human experience that people are craving doesn't necessarily have to be physically human-to-human.
Right.
As long as we're giving them that sense of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which can happen online, knowing what they like, knowing when they come back, giving them, contextually relevant information and products, having somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
That puts a lot of pressure on the service agents, that are on the other side of that.
Yeah.
I'm still not convinced, though, that consumers really want that human-to-human. I know we say we want it because we're conditioned to it. You take a look at Sears Canada, which died. Toys R Us, died. I think somebody's just bought them or trying to rejuvenate them, right?
Well, they're still around in Canada, I think, but over the US.
In the US, they're gone. So, they built models where the traditional retail model, like just talking about retail for a minute, where come to us, right? And it's no longer you come to us and we'll sell you something. Now, it's we got to come to you.
Yeah.
So they didn't adapt with the times. What I'm looking at are do people really want this is still something that I'm struggling with. I know we say we do it, and I don't dispute PwC's credibility in the survey. I believe people answered that, and I believe I would say, I want a brand that, treats me like a human being and that's there for me. But do I really want that?
Well, and I think it depends. It's obviously it goes back to omnichannel. It depends where you are as well. So if you're in a retail store, look at Best Buy as an example. You're in a retail store, you may buy the product at Best Buy, but they're all about the overall user experience. So you buy a home TV. Are they going to upsell you to a smart home connect like Google Home or, Echo, Amazon's Echo? And does that tie into your home theater? Does that tie into your online accounts at Cineplex to download digital movies straight on your TV, etc.? So Best Buy, because they were almost under, after Future Shop closed, Best Buy were pretty close to going under too. And they've revamped their model to be more about the service aspect versus the salesperson.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because that's true. Because retailers now, so is there a place for retail in a world where we're all going online? Best Buy is a good example. Yes, they're less reliant on physically selling you product because you can go online to buy product on Amazon or on their site or somewhere else. But I know even Staples is doing that right now. Staples, as for years, have been building up their copy center, which is now getting a bigger and bigger footprint. because it's a service. It's not something you can do online necessarily or as easily. And they're offering computer servicing, their on-site delivery of troubleshooting, network management now. And this is a paper store.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? They sell you stationery. And I know, as you said, Best Buy is doing that. So is that the future? It's about building those in-store experiences beyond just selling products?
Yeah, if you look at the most successful, Apple. That's you go into an Apple store and it's not about buying the latest MacBook or iPhone or whatever. It's about what you feel while in store,
right?
And it's a whole experience. Amazon, we talk about the biggest e-commerce guy in the world. They're opening brick and mortar retail stores.
Yeah.
So there's clearly an opportunity for the right brands and the right products to have that touch point where you have one-on-one with someone in store or one-on-one with someone online, whether that be an AI chatbot or some customer service guy tweeting, back.
It's funny. It's really funny that Apple, being in an industry that sells predominantly online, you don't need, I know I just bought this computer completely online. The last 4 or 5 computers I bought completely online. I haven't gone into a store. But they sell more per square footage than any other retailer. They're the number one retailer sales per square foot, which is Apple Store. But when you walk in there, unlike when you go to a department store, or you go to Sears or any one of those where you can't find a person, because most retailers are cutting their staff, to basically support the lower sales, and keep their costs down. So they're dropping that. So, what they're doing, go into an Apple store, you never have a problem finding staff.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it's just the greeter who's going to get you to somebody, there's always staff walking around the floor. So they've actually flipped the model and say, if you're going to come into our store, we're going to give you the best experience possible. Key is experience.
Experience again. Yeah.
So now that's computers, but how do we extend that to, let's say, a fashion brand? You walk into a fashion retailer where, you can buy clothes online easily these days. How does a fashion retailer take that same human to human and develop expectation and create experiences in store as opposed to just selling product?
I think you can tie it in. You can still do it with some digital stuff. So like AR and VR is one of the big pushes for the next, by 2021, it's going to be $100 billion industry.
Right, yeah.
And there's a company, I'm not sure which fashion brand it is, but it might be Lacoste or whoever it is. But they allow you to go in store and see what their makeup would look like, via your phone using AR technology. So you can choose the makeup you're going to wear.
Right.
Take put your phone up to your face so you can see exactly what you're going to look like with it. So that's giving you that experience. Yeah. And then you have someone that, like a makeup expert, for example, a fashion expert in store to help enhance that AR part. So that's one option. Like if you look at IKEA as well, there's a big study that's the psychology of IKEA. And it's basically every store you go into, the same as every one of their websites, regardless of what country or region you're in, follows the same design. So you're guided through the IKEA store with these little arrows, obviously. But online, no matter if you go to IKEA Spain, UK, Italy, the website is exactly the same UX, exactly the same layout. So you're always familiar where
the familiarity
to get to you, where you need to be quicker, enhancing your experience.
I've been into IKEA a couple of times. I think their experiences get you so lost that you feel you got to buy something in order to get your way out.
Well, that's why you get meatballs halfway through, right? You're dying of hunger.
Their meatballs are actually pretty good. Yeah. Excuse me. But I do believe, though, to your point of, using AR or, some kind of artificial intelligence or audiovisual or something innovative in fashion retail to sort of create that experience, I do believe that innovation is the way to go. Yeah. Technology is ushering in this age of less human to human contact. So how do we get people back in? What kind of omni-channel? I'm thinking of a Capital One bank. An old client of ours, when we were working with them, they were 100% online. Now they're changing the model, whereas most banks are cutting down number of tellers, number of branches. I was in the bank, my bank, not that long ago. I was standing in line and talked to a teller. Somebody came up to me and invited me to go use the ATM. Wow! So that I wouldn't have to wait. Are you kidding me? You're purposely trying to, take me away from talking to a human being. But at Capital One are opening up cafes. Right. They're called, Capital One cafes, and they're really fascinating. They've just completely reinvented the in-branch banking experience. You can go and get a coffee. It looks like a Starbucks,
Okay.
and they've got, the big palm trees and
Yeah.
really cool, community seating. You can go in there and get some work done. And then you can, if you want to have a chat with a banking advisor, they'll come and sit at your table as you're having your coffee.
Right.
So you can just hang out there. You don't even have to do any banking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of the, almost like a community center thing, which I think is kind of fascinating.
Well, that's what I mean. You look at craft beer, that's how they're competing against the big corporate brewers. They're making their brew pubs the community hub.
Yeah.
And you can buy online if you want. So you've got that online experience.
Yeah. Yellow Snail does that, right?
Orange Snail?
Or Orange Snail, excuse me.
It might be a company called Yellow Snail. Sorry.
Yeah. No, Orange Snail in Milton, Ontario. We've gone in a couple of times, and they get really involved in the community.
Awesome. Yeah, they're really good, and you get that with like most of the small batch brewers and the local craft brewers.
Right.
It makes it an experience. You're coming to pair with food as opposed to just come for a beer.
Right.
Like, you'd go to one of the big chains for a beer, but I go to the brew pub for a pairing example through their brewer that tells me this is the kind of food that goes well with this kind of beer. So
that's actually a really good point, because I know I've become a bigger fan of craft beer of late, in part because of your influence, but also I love the experience.
Right.
The craft breweries that you've taken me to and that we've gone, I love just the whole vibe of being in there. And I'll go to the LCBO next time I see them. I'd rather pick one of theirs, but I'm picking theirs as opposed to one of the multinationals that I happen to also enjoy. Well, actually, there's very few of the multinationals I enjoy, but if it's, I mean, unless it's Guinness or something like that. But then what I remember, I'm picking up that can, I'm remembering the experience of when you and I sat and had a pint talking to the bartender in their little brew pubs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so for me, every time I drink one of these,
and that's it.
I've got that sense of community spirit.
Brand recall. So you're going to buy their product. That's customer experience right there. It's brand recall without any marketing or advertising behind it, really. So,
well, how important is social media in all of this? Because that's another aspect of this whole digital technology push that's happening, and that's giving us, because we all want everything tomorrow, or not tomorrow, today, excuse me. You send an email to somebody, you expect an answer right away. Send a text. If you don't get a response within seconds, you're immediately irritated with the person. So Twitter, as much as we all hate it today, and we love to complain about Twitter, when you have a problem, what's the first thing you do? I was on the commuter train coming into the city the other day. I had a problem. The first thing I did, went on Twitter and I started to complain, and I didn't get an answer right away. And I got even more annoyed than I was at the situation that I was experiencing while I was on the train. So how do brands have to adopt to this? This is another area of that human to human. Yeah. How many people do we have to put on monitoring social media?
Well, and that's it. I mean, the great thing is there's some tools that will automatically respond for you based on some keywords and setups that you can put in place. And then that puts it in a funnel where it will get allocated to an escalation team or whatever. But also that costs money.
Yeah.
All businesses have that money to put into social. So then you have to look, okay, what's my customer base worth to me? What's my business worth to me, and how much do I actually allocate on a dollar value, and maybe cut someone from another department or bring someone in from another department that you don't need to be overstaffed on, and make sure that the customer experience is the one that's looked after. Because it's like anybody can see what happens on social, right? What happens on social stays on social for everybody to see. So you've got to make sure you're in a position that you're putting the value on that channel as a customer service, marketing, advertising, everything that comes through that channel.
So what we're talking about here is really a reshift, not only a rethinking of how you deliver customer experience, that it isn't just about that one-to-one, that it is also about how you're developing those interactions through digital, but also reallocating resources. Mm-hmm. Say, if you're not going to have as many people in your retail shop or your physical environment, if you're not in retail, make sure that you're putting those people, or maybe take them out of one department and move them into customer service online, train them or hire the right people. I agree, because and I know a lot of the clients that we've talked to are afraid to engage people who complain about their brand or ask questions online, because they figure, what if I say the wrong thing? What if it gets interpreted wrong? Let's just ignore them. The problem is, if you ignore them, that's what stays online, because it's a permanent history of your experience managing people. Yeah. Right. And if somebody does complain, how you respond to them, Jay Baer says it's a spectator sport right now, customer experience. And he's right in that case, because everything we put out there it stays out there.
Yeah.
So if you deal with those complaints in a responsive way, very quickly, in a way that shows you care, that will stay out there. So when people go to do the research, do I want to buy from this company? Look up your name. They're going to see how responsive you were. And even if there's a bad issue or a bad complaint, if you've dealt with it right, that's what's going to be left in their mind, that you dealt with it, not that you ignored it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I know on the side of technology, another brand that I've been following for a while is the Henry Ford Medical Center in Detroit, Michigan. They made a big splash a lot of years ago. They were a case study that I used to use in a lot of keynotes that I did, when they took the hospital experience and says, well, why does a hospital have to be so utilitarian? Why does it have to be a place that people dread to come? You're already sick when you're coming here. We need to make it a better experience. So what they did is they adopted, back in the day, a hotel concierge style experience. So when you come in, you're greeted by somebody. If you're in the hospital and your kids are school, they will arrange to send a car or a bus to pick up your kids after school so that they can come and visit you. Like they got a highly rated catering service to come in, so you could actually order catering from their cafeteria. That's how good the chefs were. That it wasn't like typical hospital food that nobody wants to eat. Like they really tried to elevate the on-site experience to be more hotelish, as opposed to hospital and clinical, so that you're more apt to want to go there. As opposed to another hospital. Yeah. And I know most recently I read an article where they partnered with a technology firm that through digital wear, like technology that you can wear, or devices they give you, they monitor you as you're going through the whole process, before you get to the hospital, while you're at your stay, and then when you leave, to improve the overall health care that they're giving you. So they're using technology to have that customer experience. So again, it goes into innovation, which I think is a really cool thing, right?
That's awesome.
So I'm getting the signal. Thank you for our bell, Stephen. Last call. Final thoughts on this whole thing. Customer experience. How is it changing? We're moving towards technology. Technology is propelling us in a particular way where people want it, but they're also complaining that they're not getting human to human. So how do we bridge that?
Balancing that. Yeah, I think it just goes back to, like we mentioned earlier, train people on the platform you need to be on, to make sure that a customer's getting met with the right answer, whatever stage they're at. So is it a complaint? Yeah, you need to answer that. Is it an inquiry? Of course you need to answer that. That's a potential sale. And train the folks that are already in love with your company to actually be your frontline people, because they're your advocates. They're the folks that are going to take that positive mindset to your customers or potential customers that are coming in for, whatever they're asking a brand.
Sure.
So I would just say, have advocates as being your frontline people.
Well, I think the advocates is key, right? And it's funny how everything we talk about ends up back in influence marketing and advocates. But for me, it's the employees. When I take a look at it, is that while customers generate revenue, it's really your employees that drive the experience. Right. Yeah. Right. And I don't feel that enough brands focus on training their employees, or, as we said earlier, shifting them into out of the retail role and into a customer experience role. Train them. So don't forget that while you're investing in technology for the purposes of decreasing your costs, or speeding up service, or being more competitive in our tightening times when it comes to budgets, don't forget to invest in your employees. Yeah. Make sure they understand their value. Make sure they understand the customer journey, what customer expectations are, and the importance of that conversation that they have with them, be it through a chat bot of some kind, you know what I mean? Or a dialogue box where they're communicating, or maybe it's even like a warranty call post-purchase. Exactly. So you might have bought something online, but you got a warranty call and you call. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I called an airline the other day. The phone number that they gave me on their website said it no longer in service. I was like, what? Did the airline just go out of service? I lost my mind. I got a ticket. What do you mean you're out of service? Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's only because nobody bothered to update the website. And even that small part is all about the customer experience. That's it. Well, I can tell you that, I'm one of those, because I will never go back to that airline again. I've already got issues with airlines. I've got, those of you that know me know I've got all kinds of issues. Issues with you. They probably have issues with me, which is why they do this. But anyway, so the importance of having that telephone call. And I got to tell you that with all of the issues that I have on airlines, which have become famous now, when I call, there's a couple of airlines that I continuously fly on. and that I give my loyalty to. And I think we got just a minute here that I want to talk about this because I think this is a really good point. I recently flew to the United States. I went from here to Texas, from Texas to New York, from New York back here to Toronto. But I could not get on a Canadian airline that I want to fly.
Right.
I couldn't get a flight that did the whole thing because they couldn't book me on a flight inside the United States.
Right.
You know, from Texas to here. If I wanted to go from here to Texas,
it's fine,
and then Texas back here, no problem. But then, so they said, sorry, but you're going to have to go to an American airline that can do that for you. And I said, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
So they were trying to push me to the American airline. I said, but I love you guys. Every time I call where there's a problem, you deal with me right away. You know my name. You know, you remember my past. They must have it on a CRM.
Yeah.
I'm sure they don't remember me. But they always reference something that I've done in the past with them. They always reference my status with them whenever they call or I call them. So what I ended up doing is I did a one-way flight where they could take me, and then I went on an American airline for just the segments that they couldn't.
Right.
So I purposely found a way to give them my money simply because they gave me that human-to-human experience on the phone, not face-to-face, but it was such an exceptional experience because their personnel were trained. And by the way, this is WestJet, so I'll put it out there. Great, you know, they're limited because they're not the biggest airline, but their phone people are fantastic. Yeah. So I will try and give them as much of my money as possible right now, even when they're telling me you might be better off going to another airline. So train your employees, utilize them properly. They're your best advocates when it comes to customer experience. That's my final thought. And with that, bid you adieu. Don't forget, if you like this podcast, please subscribe. If you're watching the vlog and you like to see Danny's great face, hit the like. He's growing his hair a little bit because one of the complaints we had was that the shine from the lights was going.
Well, it's winter now, so I'm going to actually keep my hair like this for the next 6 months.
So that's good. So we don't have to wear sunglasses to watch the episode anymore. So hit that like button, subscribe to our podcast or to our channel so that you get updated every week when we give you these 20-minute. Yeah.
I'm going to keep your hands tied down.
I'm Italian. My background. I gotta use my hands. Anyway, thanks, guys. We really appreciate you joining us.
Cheers.
Take care. Cheers, everybody. See you later. Hey, I want I like this stuff.